In the minds of the masses, there's a minimum baseline for cognitive acceptance in the realm of policing. Police departments promote it, media outlets incessantly parrot it, and for the most part, the average American just believes it. But it's all a fairy tale. The minimum baseline is supposed to be protection and service. Cops are only here to do us good. There are protectors. There are servants. And protectors aren't supposed to harm us. They're supposed to guard us from people who seek to harm us. And servants are supposed to tend to us and give us a hand up in our time of need. The standard is not supposed to be forced brutality, violence, and policing for profit. We're not supposed to have policy enforcing police officers. We're supposed to have rights protecting peace officers. But what do we see in modern policing today? You answer that question. In a recent Fox 11 Los Angeles segment, they discussed the LAPD's hiring process being under fire and that the department is accused of lowering standards in order to fill positions. But take a close listen to what they leave out.
A lot of the people that are being hired right now should not be police officers.
LAPD officers and LA City personnel.
It's a danger. It's a direct danger to the public.
People directly involved in the LAPD recruiting and hiring process are going public for the first time with their concerns.
We're just letting the floodgates open to people that shouldn't be on the job.
This entire segment is devoted to exposing the dangers of hiring unqualified individuals who end up posing a threat to society. You tell me what both the insiders and the media leave out of this.
Most of our sources asked us to protect their identities for fear of retaliation, but not James Williams. He supervised LAPD police backgrounds for 20 years. Williams retired a year ago.
I have nothing to gain from this, but it's the right thing to do.
Prosecute the police!
After the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis in 2020, followed by massive protests across the country and anti-police sentiment, Williams alleges the LAPD began making changes in its recruiting process.
We were given direction to focus more on diversity candidates, which we always have. Regardless of the candidate, the good ones always float to the top.
But he says if the top-tier candidates were not from a specific minority group,
they didn't want them, so they sat on the shelf.
So James Williams supervised police backgrounds for 20 years in the LAPD. What does that even mean? Supervised backgrounds? Was James okay with cops on the beat with a background of policing for profit or caging somebody because they possessed plant matter? There's no doubt. What you won't hear in this segment or from James is any focus on defending, protecting, and respecting individual rights. What you will hear is that the LAPD, like a lot of other corporations, started focusing on diversity hires, which is a dangerous road because it's this whole equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity subject. The media manufactured artificial consent for this, and corporations and departments felt pressured into complying with the whole leftist socialist charade, which, if we're honest about it, sounds inherently racist. Why would you ever hire somebody based on the color of their skin or their gender just to fill a roster? You're just inviting a low-quality outcome.
I myself am a minority, and I completely believe in diversity in the department because that's what makes Los Angeles a great city.
Is diversity really the thing that makes Los Angeles or any other city a great city? Is diversity really our strength? And what does he even mean by great city? Is Los Angeles a pinnacle of morality, innovation, low poverty, and tremendous prosperity for all? Or does it kind of resemble a failed police state shithole?
But we need to hire good, qualified candidates that can do the job.
They started manipulating the standards and the guidelines, which that was a major issue with me.
The hiring standards are created by POST, the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training. Candidates have to go through the peace officer selection process that includes a written exam, physical ability test, and background investigation. All law enforcement agencies in California must abide by those guidelines if they want certification for their academies and officers.
They wanted to go below those. Can't do that. It's illegal. We're governed by POST standards. We're governed by government codes as well.
Williams claims it didn't matter to the department. He and other sources say the LAPD is making it too easy to be an officer because of a staffing crisis.
They're not waiting for the best possible candidate to come by. Almost feels like they don't have that time to do it. They want to meet the numbers now.
So what were the standards before compared to now?
So the physical fitness qualifier, you're supposed to have at least a 50% to get into the academy. We're now hiring people with 40, 30, and in some cases lower than 10% physical scores.
What they're doing is not helping. They're creating doubt in the public's mind.
Chief Michael Moore says the LAPD is not lowering the standards, but the hiring practices have evolved through the years.
When you're eliminating people to be a member of this organization because you can't run a mile and a half in 12 minutes, you got to ask yourself, when's the last time an officer ran a mile and a half? And understand it, is that still relevant?
Our sources say the written exam is a lot easier because now it's a multiple choice test.
The written exam, we've had that test for years. And since I've gotten there, they've eased up on the standards of that written exam.
We moved to a multiple question test in place of a narrative because we saw that the narratives were judged subjectively. They were not consistent as far as people who passed or who didn't pass.
In the past, a background investigation revealing a candidate's bad credit or financial problems could have resulted in rejection. Not anymore. Williams, who used to be a cop for a different agency before becoming a background investigator and supervisor, says it's dangerous to hire people with money problems.
Isn't it also dangerous to hire people who actually want power and authority over other people? Doesn't power corrupt? And if it does, is it a good idea to give anybody that power? This guy says we need to hire good qualified candidates who can do the job.
But we need to hire good qualified candidates that can do the job.
Well, what if the job is underpinned by brutality and extortion? What if the entire law enforcement culture, from the supervisor to the lowest man on the totem pole, supports that evil state-funded business model? At that point, what does it matter if you hire a Harvard grad or a low IQ bum off the street? His job will be the same: threaten you, harm you, remove your freedoms from you, and steal your wealth. Even these guys are focusing only on physical fitness and written exams, not the moral fortitude of a man who's deeply committed to securing liberties for all.
People that are in deep financial problems often are tempted by money. The temptations out there on patrol are vast. You may pull over a drug dealer with hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you hire somebody without integrity, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to steal.
James Williams, like most other cops, has no problem pulling over that drug dealer with a stash of cash, but will drive by the big pharma drug dealers multiple times a day. The Walgreens, CVS's, and Rite Aids of the world get a pass because they're legal drug dealers. And one thing the government doesn't want is competition. So this guy isn't concerned about the unconstitutional actions of stopping a drug dealer and seizing his assets. He's more concerned about a cop stealing some of that money that the entire department just stole from somebody else.
I do worry about officers who would fall prey to bribery. The reality is that, unfortunately, this profession and this own department in the past decades have had those individuals with what I guess those same critics would say a more stringent standard. Well, if it was such a stringent standard and it was so great, how did those failures occur?
Chief Moore strongly denies the allegations that recruiters are told to focus on specific minority candidates, even if they're not qualified.
We do not hire a person on the basis of their race or their gender, but at the same time, we are pursuing qualified applicants that are representative of the diversity of this city.
What a joker. We don't hire people on the basis of their race or gender, but we do pursue people on the basis of their race or gender, and then we hire them. This guy is a walking hypocrite.
That is fair. That is what I think the public wants and expects.
While both sides have shared opposite views on the department's hiring practices.
It's going to be devastating if you lower the standards any more than it is right now. And who's going to suffer from that? I think primarily the community.
Chief Moore assures the public the LAPD is not hiring unqualified candidates.
I believe the recruits that we see today are better educated, they're better qualified than the prior generations. And that at times is hard for prior generations to appreciate or to acknowledge.
What we should appreciate and acknowledge is the fact that the media and the LAPD colluded together to produce a segment like this that further moves Americans away from the peace officer paradigm, where cops should be benefiting the community by protecting their rights and not stealing their tax money to fill the high-paying positions that produce nothing but grief and violence. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. If you want to support the channel further, grab a hard-hitting conversation-starting design that you can put on your shirt, hoodie, mug, hat, cell phone case, whatever you want. Remember, freedom is dangerous. It always has been, and it always will be. The only thing more dangerous is not having it. I'll see you in the next video.